Hello, everyone. I welcome you back to Soldier Speaks English, which is a channel for my English audience. And I am a former Pakistan Army officer. I was a major at the time, and I was a serving officer at the time once Osama bin Laden was captured and killed in right next to the Pakistan Military Academy, from where I had taken commission in 1999. And with me is Captain Syed Haider Raza Mehdi, and he had taken commission from the same academy, the Pakistan Military Academy. He's a former Pakistan Army officer and a dissident journalist, just like me. So I would like Captain Syed Haider Raza Mehdi, I would like to welcome him. And I would like, Sir Haider, I would like you to introduce yourself briefly to our English speaking audience, please.
Assalamu alaikum, Adil. Thank you very much. A former captain, because since I resigned my service and I resigned my commission, so I never used the rank of captain. But unlike you, you got your pension, so you can use that rank. And also, Adil, people should know that you and I both have been convicted by a kangaroo sham field general court martial, and both have been given very long terms of imprisonment, which is called rigorous imprisonment. You I think received 14 years. I've received 12 years. Our passports have been confiscated. Our properties, our bank accounts have been sealed. We are persona non grata, there have been assassination attempts against you, against me, uh, very significant. We are under constant threat, etc., etc., etc. So
That is, and that is because of us being dissidents, not because of anything else. Because of us
that is
being,
because we have
yeah.
done nothing except fight for a free democratic Pakistan against military fascism, military authoritarianism, the takeover of Pakistan illegally and unconstitutionally by the Pakistan army, the ousting of a civilian, democratically elected government of Imran Khan, and the subsequent terrible injustices that have been wreaked on the people of Pakistan, whose only crime is that they want freedom, they want justice, and that they voted en masse for a free democratic Pakistan on the 9th of February 2024, in which they elected the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf of former Prime Minister Imran Khan to power. That election was stolen away from them, and a bunch of criminals, money launderers, murderers, killers, with tons and tons of evidence against them, were installed to replace Imran Khan's democratically elected government. That's what we're doing, and that's why we are here today.
So rather, there's a widely held belief post 9/11 in the Western world, in the USA in particular, where movies have been made, that under President Obama, a naval SEAL team went into Pakistan, and there was a place. I mean, the CIA agents were already placed there, and they went there in the dark of the night, and they killed and captured the body of Osama bin Laden. That is what the belief is, and that is why they have written books over it. They've made movies over it. But in Pakistani military, it's an open secret that Osama bin Laden was handed over by a group of bounty hunters, and all the blame was shifted to this one individual, who's Colonel Iqbal Bailey. Allegedly, he was the one who sold Osama bin Laden's information to the US Embassy at Islamabad. And the funny story is that they say that he just had walked in. And why we are telling this story? Because his house in Pakistan, a grand mansion, has been seized by the ISI and termed a safe house now. And ever since, he's living in the USA. We know his address, but we're not going to share it. But he's somewhere in the state of San Diego, and he's living a lavish lifestyle. And it is said that he had collected a bounty of 25 million US dollar allegedly, and he's living off that money. And here he can be seen with his wife, and these are publicly available photographs of his wife sharing it, as you can see in the evidence. So, what is the actual story then, sir? Because the Pakistanis know the story, the Pakistani military knows the story, but the wider world, the Western world, believe that it was actually President Obama's SEAL teams which just went in, and it was pure US intelligence and assets, US assets, which got Osama bin Laden. A lot of people don't know what the actual story is. What is the actual story of the capture of Osama bin Laden?
Thank you, Adil. I think, Adil, before I go into the details of this episode and event, I think it's important to understand why we're discussing this today. The reason we're discussing this today is to bring to people's attention how an institution in Pakistan, which is called the Pakistan Army, and its intelligence agency, primarily the ISI, also now the military intelligence, have progressively taken over power in Pakistan and have been converting Pakistan into what is called today in modern parlance, it is called a narco state, a criminal enterprise which thrives on criminal activities, and that is their source of income. You're showing this Telegraph a report which now says that Pakistan is the world's largest opium producing country. It has overtaken Afghanistan. This is in Balochistan. Balochistan has been under the Pakistan Army's control since 1974, when former executed Prime Minister Zulfikar Ali Bhutto asked the Pakistan Army to come into Afghanistan, to Balochistan, and they are still there in 2025. So this entire province is under the Pakistan Army, and no opium can grow without their support. And what you're showing here is another it's amazing. These are standard operating procedures out of a military document, which is saying how the drugs, the diesel smuggling across the border from
Iranian border, from Iran into Pakistan.
Iran into Pakistan is to be managed, is to be controlled, who has to do what. It's like military, it is actually an SOP, which is called standard operating procedure. So that is the context within which we want to discuss OBL. And so now getting to Osama bin Laden. Adil, I can narrate one incident about this conversion to narco state, because in the 12 years under Zia, when we got involved in the Afghan civil war, and there was this massive wave of terrorism and the drug infested economy of Afghanistan, and then the 9 years of Musharraf, in which we fought the so-called war on terror on behalf of India, again drug infested, terrorist laden environment in Pakistan, completely changed the complexion of the armed forces of Pakistan, the amount of money that they were exposed to, undocumented money that was literally brought in bags, funded in the early days from Zia's time by Saudi Arabia, and actively promoted by the US, who called all these people, now they called terrorists, as mujahideens, fighters of God, and they were wined and dined and toasted in the Oval Office, in the White House, with Reagan and the Haqqani sitting next to him. People forget those images. But anyway, in 1990, I'm a personal witness to this. 25 trucks laden with illicit drugs were captured by a Rangers checkpost in Balochistan. The person in command of that checkpost calls up the IGFC Balochistan and says, "Sir, we've got this convoy," and the person is saying that he belongs to the ISI, who's leading the convoy. He wants to speak to you. So on the phone, this is first-hand information. This is not second-hand. I'm privy to this first-hand. The person picks up the phone and says, "Yes," and he says, "I am so and so. My number is so and so. I belong to so and so detachment of the ISI, which is the military's intelligence arm. And these trucks are ISI trucks, and we're transporting these illegal goods." Now, this IGFC, who's a major general, is completely taken aback, and he says, "Okay, hold on, let me come back to," he tells his Rangers guy. He calls up the corps commander at that time, General Cocker, who later on became the army chief. This is like a story out of fiction, but this is actually true. Calls up the corps commander and he says, "This is what has happened." The corps commander is also surprised, Lieutenant General Cocker, says, "Okay, Let me come back to you. He calls up the army chief, and he comes back to the IGFC, says, yes, it is confirmed. These are ISI no trucks. Let them go. This is 1990. Okay.
Yeah.
We're now discussing 2011, 2nd May, when Osama bin Laden has been attacked. So, Adil, it is impossible to conceive from you, me, knowing the location of that house, which is 500, maybe 800 yards away from the Pakistan Military Academy,
Mm.
uh, living in this huge house, very suspicious. No one knows who lives there, who comes out, who goes there. The ISI now significantly much more powerful than it was ever when I was in the PMA in 74, 75, or 76, right? It is impossible to conceive that this no one knew who was living there. Impossible, right? So
Mm.
that's number one.
Yeah.
The second thing is, we know from all those people who were around at the time of the raid that the electricity of the entire neighborhood was switched off before
Yeah.
the raid. We also know that. The third thing we also know is that the local police came into that area, told the residents, announced that there's going to be a military exercise. You may hear some firing, nothing to worry about. Remain in your houses. The fourth thing, when the raid happened and people were approaching the house, there was a police cordon around that saying, no, don't worry, this is just a military exercise, go back to your homes. So, what does this tell you? That at least the local administration had been told, they probably weren't told this is Osama bin Laden, but they had been told by somebody, and that by somebody has to be the ISI and the Pakistan army, that this is going to happen. Something is going to happen. It's going to be some military exercise. So keep the people away. The lights are going to be switched off to facilitate the helicopters landing. Very conveniently, all the Air Force radars at that time were switched off. So the helicopters came in undetected. So this is what we know of the incident on the day it is happening. Now, what is the involvement of this gentleman called Colonel Iqbal, and who's known by a kind of a nickname, Bailey? Iqbal, they converted to Bali, and from Bali into Bailey. He lives in affluence, great affluence in California. We all know that. I've spoken to people who are very, very close to him. I've spoken to him who are people who are closely related to him. I've spoken to the highest level officers in the Pakistan Army, including General Kiani, on this issue. I've spoken to people who uh, were senior officers at the time this happened. My conclusion, based on what I know, based on what publicly information is, that this gentleman was provided the information from within the army and the ISI to leak this information to the Americans to get the bounty of $25 million that was on Osama bin Laden's head, which the Americans had announced. This money was distributed. Not only did he get it, but many others got it. I don't know to what level, for sure. I do not have evidence, but the circumstantial evidence tells me that Osama bin Laden's residence for 5.5 years, starting from the time when Musharraf was president, and also fully in control of everything that was going on in Pakistan. I cannot imagine that a rogue group unknown to General Musharraf, unknown to General Kiani, who was then ISI, DG ISI, later on became vice chief under General Musharraf, later on became army chief, stayed on as army chief, and then had an ISI chief under him called Ahmad Shuja Pasha, Lieutenant General. It is impossible to conceive that these people were so stupid, they were so ignorant, they were so incapable, they were so inefficient, they were so incompetent that they did not know that Osama bin Laden was residing a few hundred yards away from Pakistan's premier military academy, Pakistan Military Academy, and it was they were he was there by supported by as the story they want to promote to absolve themselves of their responsibility. It may have been a rogue group within the ISI, a rogue group within the army who was doing this, and we didn't know anything about it. It's impossible, right? I mean, they know when a dog goes next to a tree branch and does his thing. It is impossible for them to not know for 5.5 years this guy. So that is why I'm saying I don't know to what level this bounty was shared. Did it go up the entire rank, right up to the top to General Kiani, who was army chief? Did it stop at Ahmad Shuja Pasha? And Kiani said, "No, I don't want to have anything to do with it. You can keep the money." Did Kiani take the money? Did Ahmad Shuja Pasha, the DGISI at that time, was a major beneficiary? People within the army stopped short, senior people with it stopped short of naming Kiani as a beneficiary, the Pakistan Army chief, but many of them, a vast majority of them, are convinced that General Ahmad Shuja Pasha, the DGISI, was a major beneficiary of this 25 million bounty, which was, and they used Iqbal Bailey as their guy who says, he was a walk in, that he walked in and he said, okay, Osama bin Laden is here, this, and the other. That's the version I have, Adil.
All right, that's very interesting, sir. Because of the capture of Osama bin Laden, President Obama, got re-elected as well. So from Osama, we got Obama for the second term. That's very surprising. Not surprising enough, but there is a narco economy in Pakistan. Now, Pakistan has definitely become a narco state under the direct supervision of the Pakistani military, which is being supported by the global Western establishment, basically. So, because the people of Pakistan are quite so far they were supporting the Pakistani military, but they're not supporting Pakistani military anymore. But the Pakistani military is holding all the cards in Pakistan, and they are running Pakistan, as per the Telegraph story says, the new opium capital of the world. And it is risking. It is not only risking, but it is, as per our information, actually funneling millions to the terrorists, which are proxy elements being used in the region and around the world, so that terrorism can be manufactured, so the Pakistani military can sell counterterrorism services for good money, of course. But this illegal spectrum is working as an institution, and the evidence is being shown. This is a divisional headquarter letter being approved by a GSO2, no less, of internal security. So this is for one of the corridor between Iran and Pakistan, in which 600 boats daily are bringing in smuggled oil. So on the same route, once an empty boat is going from Pakistan, it is being reported allegedly that empty boats are taking drugs, very fine cocaine, and that is why operation have been conducted in open seas once after the Telegraph story, not before that. That the Pakistan Navy is saying that we are catching the drug smugglers in the open seas, and so far they say they have captured $2.1 billion of drugs, which I believe is an exaggeration, but it is happening as an institution. Why do they need to do that? I mean, the Pakistani military, why are they running this narco economy? Why are they acting like a cartel? uh, which we have seen in south of America, but we have not seen that in Pakistan. But I mean, there used to be incidents before. Once I was serving, once you were serving, there used to be incidents of trucks coming in, and there used to be incidents on individual level the officers would be involved in smuggling and of narcotics and oil smuggling and so on and so forth. But these documents, they're evidence that it is now this illegal spectrum, let's call it that, is operating at an institutional level. So where are we heading in Pakistan, and while they're being supported by the Western establishment?
I think that's a very good question, especially your last statement about supporting the Western establishment. We've got to understand what is Pakistan's interest for, say, a country like the US, or why is Pakistan relevant? So, a lot of people say it's a geostrategic location where we are. That's fine and good. I think the only relevance today for the US and the Western powers, mm, mm, including Israel and India, is that we are a nuclear armed state. That's the headline, and that's the bottom line. If people understand that the only relevance today for Pakistan to the outside world is that we're a nuclear armed state and everyone wants to defang us, they think that they will not be able to control a strong Pakistan under free democratic institutions, very strong and stable institutions, under a charismatic leader like Imran Khan, and potentially be a constant source.
Sir.
So Adil, because we are a nuclear armed state, the objective is to defang us. Now, because the military took over, uh, starting, let's say, April 2022. Even we can go back to history in 1950, but let's stick to April 2022. When the military took over in April 2022 and ousted PM Imran Khan, and they brought in a government of criminals, really, looters, money launderers, plunderers. I mean, these guys have got billions of
Mm.
rupees worth of criminal charges against them. The current prime minister was supposed to be indicted the day, 2 days after Imran Khan's government was removed. I mean, if Imran Khan's government had not been removed, this person was actually going to be indicted on money laundering charges for money laundering the equivalent of 21 or 22 billion rupees. I mean, these are not small amounts. And they were brought in at the behest and under the instructions of the US. They said, if you remove Imran Khan, everything will be forgiven. But if he stays on, then there'll be problems. So why would the Americans, who are the hall bearers of democracy in the world, why would they tell the Pakistan Army general at that time, General Bajwa, to remove the government of Imran Khan and bring in a kind of an authoritarian military regime? Why? One, it's easy to control. Two, Imran Khan is a danger to the West. Imagine, especially Israel, imagine Jeffrey Epstein in one of his emails says Imran Khan is a greater danger than Xi Jinping of China, than Putin of Russia, Khamenei of Iran, and Erdogan of Turkey. Can you imagine? This was the threat, not because he was a warmonger. No. Why? Because he was an extremely powerful, charismatic leader, not just for Pakistan, and would have made Pakistan into an extremely powerful, strong, but a peaceful country, not a warmongering country. And as a consequence, would have been a threat to the family run feudal regimes of Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, to Israel, nuclear armed Pakistan, great people friendly national army, great judiciary, independent judiciary, politically very strong, economically very strong. That's now the word. So, what happens when you bring in authoritarianism and fascism in Pakistan? The economy collapses. In the 3 years that the military has ruled Pakistan, now under Asim Munir, here is the most damning statistic of this. The damning statistic is IMF's report saying that Pakistan's corruption in the last 2 years is equivalent to rupees 5.6 trillion rupees. That's an astronomical sum. The most damning indictment of Pakistan's economic climate is the Henley Investment Index, which says Pakistan, out of 226 countries, is number 222nd. We're at the bottom of the gutter and the dog pile, which is a country where you should go and invest money. So Pakistan's economy is in shambles. Uh, uh, Multinationals are leaving Pakistan, factories are closing, job losses run in the millions. There is massive unemployment, flight of capital outside Pakistan. So, how do you keep this economy from collapsing? You convert the country into a narco state. You start now to use other sources of income to prop up the economy because it is an consumption economy. So you get into the South American narco state economy, right? That funds the system. So you get into drugs, illicit drugs. You get into smuggling, diesel smuggling. You get into all kinds of criminal activities, including other lots of circumstantial evidence. You get into uh, the dark area of pornography and child pornography because the biggest child pornography scandal to hit Pakistan 2 3 years ago, the inquiry in that was shut down by the Pakistan Army and the ISI, and this I have firsthand from military officers, from police officers who were conducting this inquiry. So now your entire economy is flooded by this illicit, narco-laden funding, and now you create little terrorist groups that support your objective. How do you think the Pakistan army is able to control the tens of thousands of hectares of opium that is being grown in Balochistan? Obviously, they don't have their own troops everywhere. They have where some are, but it's terrorist gangs, right? Who are
Yeah.
doing, and they are funding them, they are fueling them. So that's one part of why this has been happening. So the entire state of Pakistan is now being converted into a mafia like, into a South American drug cartel type, not just a, organization, into a state. Pakistan is quickly becoming a narco state. And why is America allowing this state to survive? Why is it allowing the IMF to keep giving Pakistan a lifeline? I think they're doing it to 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 get to a level to keep Pakistan from collapsing right now because it has a nuclear arsenal. The
Mhm.
day the US and the Western powers, backed by Israel and India, are able to defang Pakistan, and there's a whole other program we can do, and what are the ways they will be able to do that. But the day they are able to do that, and I think that day is not far because Asim Munir, who's now become the chief of the defense forces and now has all the army and the navy and the air force under him, is now also the constitutional authority to appoint the head of the National Command Authority, which will oversee all nuclear assets and delivery systems and will be commanded by one man, Asim Munir. It will be very easy for the US to arm twist Asim Munir into giving up our nuclear arsenal, and he will do so willingly uh, to maintain himself in power. It is as simple. It's not a cloak and dagger stuff. It's just pure survival. So that's why we are allowed to completely uh, make ourselves into a criminal enterprise, which, by the way, US now, with the crocodile tears, talks about Venezuela. Venezuela is becoming a narco state. We're going to get rid of Maduro. This CDL or CDS or some organization is a narco organization which is funded by the Venezuelan state, which has links to every aspect of the Venezuelan army and the military and the police and their intelligence services. The exact, if you replace Maduro, if that is correct, which I don't think it is, but if that is correct, if you replace Maduro with Asim, you replace the CDL with the ISI, you have a cut and paste replica of a narco state, which you think Venezuela is in Pakistan. This is going to come and haunt the US. It's going to come and haunt Israel. It's going to come and haunt the region because they are playing with nuclear Armageddon. The Pakistan they want to control and make it subservient, and they want to break up, will not happen. I can tell you that it will not happen. They will not be able to defang Pakistan's nuclear asset. Asim Munir will not survive. From what we have seen
because
happen,
because Asim Muni, there's strict opposition within the Pakistani military to any such misadventure, and if Asim Munir goes that path, I mean, Ziaulak's end is, I think, an example of how quickly things could end, and how violently it could end at
Adil,
the
because
throat.
the social impact of this total control by the military of the criminal enterprise of Pakistan, so they've taken over the entire criminal spectrum of Pakistan, right? Uh, the mafia used to take protection money from shopkeepers, right? So you give us protection, we'll give. The army actually extends the same protection to the business people in Pakistan, and they call it contributions to the command fund. So the army chief, it's very interesting. I think for Western years, it'd be very interesting to know that from the unit commanded by a lieutenant colonel to a brigade, to a division, to a corps, to the army chief, there are things, there is a fund called the command fund. In your time and my time, it used to be called the black fund. The black fund was that you would fudge invoices that were given to you for doing construction work of defense works, constructing trenches or rebuilding, defense work. You'd fudge them, you wouldn't do it. You'll get them passed, the money will be paid to you, and you would put that money into so it's a pure corruption. You
Yeah.
were making illegal invoices. They transformed this into an art form. So now it comes that uh, Major Adil Raja is a multi-billionaire businessman in Pakistan, and you can squeeze him for money. So I am the corps commander of Karachi, Lieutenant General. I come to Major Adil Raja, meet him in a social gathering, say, Major Adil Raja, you should contribute to the defense of Pakistan. You guys make so much money. We'd like you to give a contribution to our command fund for our shaheeds, for people who have laid their life for their country, for their families. And, for somebody like you, about 1 billion rupees would not be anything. Sure, sir, sure. And this guy gives that. What is this? This is protection money. You give me this money, I will make sure your business flourishes. I'll make sure no one bothers you. And better still, Mr. Adil Raja, come and partner with me. I have the largest commercial enterprise in Pakistan. I am the Pakistan Army. Come and partner with me, set up factories together with me, get into real estate ventures with me, into manufacturing with me, and I will make you even more money. No one will be able to touch you. Can you imagine? People may think that all people have to do, anyone worth their
Salt.
whatever, sorry, worth
Worth
their
their salt.
worth their salt,
Yeah.
who want to do any investigation onto this criminal enterprise of the Pakistan Army, just has to pick up the phone, call six of their contacts in the Pakistan Army, in the police, in the judiciary, in the business community, and say what Haider Mehdi is saying, is this correct or not correct? It is as simple. So we are being sold right now. We're like a frog who's being
Yes.
boiled, and we don't know it, because once we are boiled, we'll be nuclear defect. And honestly, Adil, we're then going to be left to our own devices. We'll end up like South Sudan, criminal enterprise, small pockets of land, feudals and warlords here, because the other country that they also want to get to is Iran. So Pakistan and Iran today are seen as the biggest threats. Pakistan not because of Asim Munir, but Pakistan because of the nuclear assets. Iran because of its defiance of Israel, defiance of the US, and the potential uh, seeds of Islamic unity that they may also plant in the Arab world ruled by families. Can you imagine? I mean, how can the American and the Western population internalize to themselves countries that are ruled by families even today, and free welcome them to the White House, welcome them and consider them great leaders of world. How can how would uh, the U.S. feel if the mafia don, whoever, if the mafia don still exists in New York, etc., take over the U.S. and make it into a criminal enterprise at their own time? So while these may sound like emotional statements, they're not. What we're saying is uh, what's happening in Pakistan is going to come and haunt them, Adil. Osama bin Laden is an example of the criminal enterprise that the Pakistan Army and ISI had become, which people are aware of because the event was publicly known. So we've used that to help people understand why this incident is important for you to understand, because it shows you a window into the mindset, into the workings of the Pakistan Army and the ISI, and how they're converting this country into a criminal enterprise.
So, ladies and gentlemen, once you allow narco states to go on their way and you allow them to operate, in fact, you give guard of honors to the head of those narco states, like the Pakistani military de facto ruler, Asim Munir, the self promoted field marshal, was given a guard of honor by the house guards here in London. Well, once you do that, when it is you're actually facilitating them to make menace out of themselves and for the entire region. And well, that has to be checked. Democracy has to be promoted because democracy is the only legitimate way forward, because that will bring peace and stability, and peace is the logical way forward. So thank you so very much for watching us. Thank you so very much for Sir Syed Haider Raza Mehdi. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure, Adil, and hope to see you again soon. Thank you. Khuda Hafiz.
That was it.